And we should be back in business at least for now.
We're good to go, Brendan.
I think so.
Okay, guys, it is 9:47 now, and we are back. So I call the meeting back to order. Stephanie, do we have a quorum?
Do I do roll again?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna take roll again, Jill.
Can y'all bring those speakers up?
No, I mean, it's set on are you sure
Okay.
your speaker is up?
Well, that would make more sense. Okay, yeah, sorry.
No problem.
Alrighty. Christy Gonzalez. Jill Hano.
Here,
Tony Piontek. Tony, I need you to unmute.
Yeah, we have to see you on camera.
Yes.
Thank you. Eric Taylor.
I was just
Vivian
wondering,
Webb.
people like to have a picture of themselves.
Renata Washington.
She
I
is
saw that she
admitted.
was admitted, but she might just.
Camera's not on.
Okay.
Yeah, she's not gonna be able to talk right now.
Okay. And Karen Sue. And you have a quorum.
okay, perfect. So I think I think Stephanie, you were going over the budget, and the last thing I wrote down is that we were talking about the $30,000 PIP decrease.
Correct. So here's that budget again. I can make it a little bigger if y'all want it a little bigger. I think. Let me try again. There we go. So I just took that 30,000 off of the partners in policy making because they did say that it was going to be a like every 5 years. So since it's happening this year, I didn't include that in the numbers. And then I also explained that I took off under the continuing contractual activities. I did take off the two activities that are, I think it's 2.2.2 and 2.2.3, which are the FASD campaigns. And that's just because we were helping pilot that. But if y'all would like to continue it, I can also add that in to see what that would look like.
We have a question.
You do have a question from Mr. Taylor.
Okay, Mr. Eric, you're recognized by the chair.
Yes. So, y'all say y'all had startup funds and y'all no longer helping them with the startup fund. What if they wants to come in and they need to start up fund? Is it there for them or they not gonna need it no more?
Are you talking specifically for the FASD contract?
Yeah.
I don't know how to answer that. I think.
Okay, so for the fetal alcohol spectrum disorder awareness campaign, they wanted, we were assuming those were one-time funds, that they were gonna do an awareness campaign across the state of Louisiana. Yes. So Rakisha's the monitor over that. She can kind of give a little bit more detail. So they're doing, you can tell them what they're doing.
They're doing flyers, campaigns to put the information out there. But once they started up to put the information out there, they won't need the startup funds anymore. It'll be kind of ongoing.
So, I understand. So,
Okay,
when I got that, they would no longer need the 30,000, but
to start up. So it's basically them getting with other organizations to get information, creating the flyers, brainstorming, creating the information to create the PowerPoints and all of that kind of stuff. So once it's created and once they have all the information they need to, pass out to the community, they don't need that particular startup fund anymore. Am I making sense with there?
So what I'm trying to say, so they wouldn't need no help after, since they.
Not to start up,
But they
no.
would need some assistance with something else, it would be help there.
Because they receive funds for two different things. So they have the startup funds for the campaign. And then they also receive funding for like the training that they're doing and things of that nature.
Okay, so they don't need 30, but they do receive funding from
Correct.
there. Got you.
Well, the awareness campaign was 10,000. So they don't need, we're recommending, if you look in your packet in your status report, the staff have recommended that you guys discontinue those two activities, the awareness campaign and the trainings for the social workers with DCFS and the foster parents. So we're recommending that you guys discontinue that, which is why it's not shown on the budget.
In
So
that,
bas-
oh, sorry, Eric.
No, you go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Okay, so basically, the fundings the fundings would be not needed with them?
We're recommending that you guys discontinue the funding because number one, the awareness campaign, I only think that they needed that funding for a year because like Rakisha just said, they've made flyers, I don't know what other promotional materials they've created, but they've already created those materials with that $10,000 that you all gave to them. For the actual trainings with DCFS, number one, I think we were having issues with LSU working with DCFS. I can't remember exactly. Do you remember?
They were having issues with creating the trainings. They've created the modules where they can go online and have the trainings that way with LSU.
So but that was the training where people wasn't showing up and there were too many people coming?
Well, no, not that.
I think there was a change in their training requirements at DCFS, so LSU was not able to go and start their trainings yet.
So now they have modules put in place to where they can go online and take the training. So the training is available to them online. And then they also provide the trainings to like foster parents. And that's where they can come in person and do the trainings in person.
So you've essentially paid to develop a training.
Right.
Now that it's been developed, there's no sense in continuing paying for developing a training.
Right.
And you're supposed to, that information is on here. It's not going to be on there.
But I'm looking at that, but I'm just saying that no, it don't need to be that. I mean, if they got everything they need, I mean, I think we need to let it go. If they don't need, they where they need to be at. I don't think we need to be there. I think it needs to stay where it's at. Ain't no sense. No. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Taylor. Are there any more questions at the time? Okay. So Stephanie, can you please continue?
Sure. Did you want to go on to the next thing, the recommendations from the council?
Okay, so we're done the budget.
I mean, this is the budget outline. This is the amount of money if we continue everything at its current funding. So it's this $177,000. So that would be the amount that we're working with. And so as I am typing in here, when we're adding stuff, it'll change that number for us. So we kind of know how much money we have remaining.
So, cause this is where I got confused last week. So you took out the 30,000 for the PIP, and then you took out the total for the fetal alcohol syndrome, big dip, fetal alcohol syndrome disorder, and you got 545,000. So to get to our 72,000, you have the 177,000.
That's correct.
Why couldn't I figure that out last week? I don't understand. Okay, so now, thank you, Stephanie. Now we are moving right along.
So this, I'm sorry,
Mr. Eric has a question.
Taylor.
so this is our current budget after we then took both of them out?
Correct.
What's in the corner?
Right here.
At the top.
So that little one that's left on there, that's what we have left. And that's if we continue everything except for the things that I mentioned. So getting rid of that 30,000 for the partners in policy making, and then the 10,000. So getting rid of the 10,000 for the FASD, and also getting rid of it. I think it's 40,000 for the other FASD.
It was 40 together.
Oh,
It was only 30,000 for that other project. So it was 40 all together.
For the board, cause.
that's one has 40.
Quick in my head, we're getting rid of 80,000 total.
70. There was a mistake. I'm sorry. I thought that it was 40. It's 30. So no, but that's still correct. Yes.
Yes, to me.
Yes. The
Okay.
amount that's on there is correct, but the amount that if we get rid of partners in policy making.
And I think what's also accounted in there, I'm sorry, Stephanie. What's also accounted for in there, Jill, is that we're no longer gonna need the funding for the website. So that $55,000 that's currently allocated for the website rehaul, you guys no longer need to do that. The website will be done very soon. So that $55,000 is also available in addition to the 30,000, in addition to the 40 total that we have for FASD. And Vivian, did you have a question? She was.
I'm good.
You good?
I'm seeing, that's.
Make more sense.
Okay.
That's.
Sorry. Thank you. I forgot about the website thing.
So Vivian has her hand raised, Jill.
Okay, Vivian.
This is unrelated, but if I go to the bathroom, will we still have a quorum?
Yes.
Cool, thank you.
That question.
Karen
has a question.
Karen has a question, Jewel.
Okay, Miss Karen, you have the floor.
Since I'm first here, so I just wonder, just what's the budget, the goal? I saw you have a 177,000 just remaining, so you cut off some money, looks like that, right? But I understand just what's your goal? Usually you would do to save money, or you just use up your budget, you need to use up all the funding you available.
We have to use all of the funding available.
Oh, so but you got a remaining this one just for this, like a spare, just
So if we,
flexible,
so that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna try to create or write activities in order to use up those extra funds.
okay, I got it. Okay.
And then there's a process, because then after this, we'll put out like saying, oh, this is what we want to do, and people can kind of apply to do it. So I'm not gonna explain that at the break if you are interested.
I just don't know the process.
No, I understand.
We're literally here today. We're playing with money today. So we are on quorum, we're not on break. I have a question. How much did we take out for the website?
It was 55,000.
Okay. All right, so any more questions about the budget?
I think Tony has a question. Is his hand raised?
Tony, you're muted.
There we go. How will that affect us towards now until the new year? Will it stay the same? Will it change within now until the new year?
Your budget remains the same until you start your new plan October 1. So
that's
right now,
normal.
everything is the same, and what you're planning for is your new budget October 1 of how you're spending those dollars.
Okay. I was curious to know how that was going, so. Thanks.
Yep.
Okay, so any other questions about the budget before we move on? Okay, great. Next we have a review of the motions that we made in our January meeting, or the recommendations from our two standing committees. So Stephanie, once again, I yield the floor to you.
Thank you, Jill. So these are the recommendations for the planning committee from the council. The council recommends these activities for, oh, I'm sorry, this should say 2026. For the FY 2026 Planning Committee to consider for goals 1 and 2, preventative screenings for women's health, provider focused and accessible. That should have a comma, sorry. Information targets to high schoolers and or parents on puberty, sex education, sexual development, and then to just strike out the word research, because that's what's on the current plan. And then training for home and community-based workers. The council also recommends these items to consider for goal 3, advocate for more services through LRS due to high caseloads, etc. Support LDOE, so the Louisiana Department of Education's responsive actions to the audit report with respect to seclusion and restraint, and to promote inclusion in education. Are there any questions about about those?
I have a few questions about goals.
For me? Okay.
I think of like, what does it entail to, like, I think the advocate for more services through LRS due to high case loads. I would think that's more of a legislative issue. Like, how does something like, would something like that fit into like an action plan?
Good question.
Yeah.
That is back up.
I think it depends on what y'all want to do with it. If you feel and the committee feels that this is more of a legislative item, then it doesn't have to go. Because remember, these are just recommendations. They don't have to go into the plan, but these are what the planning committee. I'm sorry, the standing committees and the council have recommended to this planning committee. But it's just a recommendation, so if you feel that it doesn't fit or you feel that it could do better as a legislative item, then again, it doesn't have to go in there. Use your discretion for that.
Yeah, just to let y'all know, as far as advocating for LRS, there are some groups that are advocating this session for funding for LRS. And that second bullet of supporting LDOE's response to seclusion and restraint, we actually have some legislation that has been filed, or I haven't checked in the last couple of days if it actually was filed yet, but if not, it will be filed shortly. That addresses seclusion and restraint as well. So that would come out of a legislative response this session. But if those
Actually, oh, never mind. Actually, do you want to elaborate more on your chat comments?
I can. Do y'all need me to turn my camera on?
Only because I want to see your beautiful face, but it's up to you.
Okay. Hey, our birthdays are coming up.
I know.
All right, hold on. Okay. All right, so it is House Bill 237. It dropped literally
OTS or
like,
whoever's playing the fixed office network, this thing is getting.
Hey, guys. We are having a technical issue. I'm not sure if y'all can hear me. If y'all can, give me like one moment. We're trying to get the big computer back up.
Okay.
So I'm just letting you know, just give us one moment.
It is 10:12 and I'll guess I'll call recess.
Say a prayer.
Yes, ma'am. Go. Oh.
Maybe because I was still on here as co-host, so still logging in. I don't know.
Looks like maybe you're back in business.
Am I still praying at
The whole meeting.
Right, just say a prayer.
God?
I'm not sure what's going on today. It just seems like a terrible Tuesday. We apologize sincerely for all these hiccups. Hopefully we won't have any more throughout the meeting, but we sincerely apologize for all of the technical issues that we're experiencing today.
Nope, right, exactly.
It's April 1st.
The universe has got us good.
What I tell Brendan, what text did I send you this morning? I jinxed you.
No, should be.
Yeah, I
All
think
right,
you're ready
good.
to keep going. I'm not sure where we stopped.
I think we just looked at the recommendations from the
no.
committees.
We start in the middle of Ashley's public comment. So
Oh,
Ms. Reynolds, you can continue.
Okay, Jill. Thanks. So in response to the audits that were done on the Department of Education, specifically the very last audit around the use of restraint and seclusion, abuse and neglect, and then just the continuation of issues around cameras in special ed classrooms. The ARC, the DD Council, Disability Rights Louisiana, and the Department of Education began working on some language to amend the restraint seclusion bill. So it is a massive markup. The overall intent is to provide for safe learning environments, for trainings and monitoring on the appropriate use of physical restraint of students. We are wanting to eliminate the use of seclusion and seclusion rooms altogether. We are also looking at developing a new model of crisis intervention training that will be required for, I think we said 8 hours. I'm scrolling through the bill now. We're also, I thought we were eliminating mechanical restraint.
What is this, Bella?
It was the original, we had eliminated it. But it's changed now in the order that it's in, so I'm not certain.
Okay, I'm pretty sure we're still eliminating the use of mechanical restraint. We changed the definition of what a physical restraint is to make it a little bit broader to try and capture the incidents that we know that are occurring in schools that are not being reported. We changed the time from a 5-minute hold to a 3-minute hold. Right now they were allowed to hold students for up to 5 minutes without being considered a actual restraint, and we lowered that to 3. We are changing the this is all the takeout of seclusion and seclusion rooms. Um, let's see. We are requiring that the schools submit their restraint policies to the district, to the department. The department then will review them when it's submitted the very first time. And then anytime there is any adjustment to the policy, either on a local or a state level, they have to resubmit those policies to the department. We are going to require that a school nurse or their school health designee, if they don't have a nurse on campus for the entire day, to make contact with the student that was restrained to look for like distress, any type of bruising or marks that were left on the student after the restraint was used. We changed up the reporting requirements. What is included in the incident report, it is much more detailed now than it was before. They have to prepare the incident report within 24 hours after the student is released from the restraint. It goes on to address holidays and weekends or any type of extended school closures when that notice has to be sent to the parent. It also is going to, let's see. We are also going to have the SPED director or their designee review all of the video. If it occurs in like a self-contained classroom or another room that happens to have a camera in it, to ensure that policies and proper techniques were followed during the incident. The current law says that if a student is involved in 5 incidents in a single school year, that the IEP team needs to reconvene and go over everything. We changed that from 5 to 3. Let's see. The big new piece is obviously around the training for CIT. That is a training right now that does not exist. The department is going to be developing this particular training with use of IDEA dollars. We sort of had a discussion about it at SEEP earlier. I don't know if that was last week. And then it is very specific on what it has to cover. I'm on page, if anyone has the bill open, I'm on page 11. It is very, very specific. We pulled this language out of, I believe, Arkansas. So that is brand new. It requires that first-year school employees successfully complete the training. And then if there's any changes within the group that is going to be designated, like the crisis team, that they have to complete that training before being a part of the team. They will also be submitting the compliance around this training and the policies for restraint to not just to the Department of Education, but they will also be submitting all of this to the local special education advisory committees or councils. And then for the cameras, we are mandating that every district install cameras in every special education classroom, regardless of parental consent. So we're no longer going to require that. They have the funding. We're just telling them that they need to install them now. And I believe that captures the majority of what the bill does. When I talked about changing the definition from physical restraint, we changed it from like a bodily force to, the use of restraint techniques that involve significant physical force applied to restrict the movement of all or part of a person's body. This particular language is used in multiple states, and we thought was just better than what we had originally proposed back in 2011, was when this definition was last updated. And that's it, really. I don't know if anyone has any questions. But again, this was a great group of stakeholders and advocates that came
Oh
together
my
to
God.
address a very serious issue that's happening in Louisiana. And so far we have the department's sort of approval, or at the very least not opposing the changes. So we are hopeful that there won't be any real opposition from the department. I definitely think we're going to get opposition from both the school boards and the charter schools. But I feel like as long as we have, you know, the department and advocates sharing why this is absolutely necessary, that we shouldn't really have a whole lot of trouble getting this through.
Jill, Vivian has her hand raised.
Jill, you're muted.
We can't hear you. You're muted, Jill.
I've been coming in person. I forgot how to unmute, so I was just okay, Vivian. You have the floor, and thank you, Ash.
Thank you. Hi, Ashley. So seclusion and restraint's not just an issue in the school system, but also in ABA centers. And I really think it's important to make restraint also not a thing anymore, like legally. Then your wording of what defines restraint is also a little concerning because it does not take much force on a little kid to restrain them or do a serious amount of damage. And any time a person is being restrained, they are either being melted down or they were already melted down, and it's a form of injury either way, in addition to the physical injuries that happen. And school nurses aren't always there. I know in elementary school, school nurses like had certain days they were at certain schools, and that would like they would like not always be there. That and then I don't know how it is in older schools exactly. I just remember a lot of the times the school nurse was not there. So that's also something to keep in mind. And then a way to that they could get around the cameras in the special education classrooms is by doing it in an area where a camera can't see, such as a blind spot or somewhere where there isn't a camera. So that is also another concern. So I'm a little worried because I remember I'm a triplet and I have two brothers the same age as me. And I remember in ABA, they would on purpose melt my brother down. And then this big, muscular, tall guy would get on my brother, and he wasn't like the same size as this man at all yet. So, and he still isn't, but my brother would end up with bruises, welts, stuff like that. And I do appreciate the seclusion, like not really being seen as acceptable anymore, because it really isn't, but the restraint's also still a problem.
Yeah, I definitely agree with some of your comments. Are you saying in ABA, or I was having trouble hearing you at the beginning?
Yes, ma'am, ABA.
In ABA, yeah. This just addresses the issue in schools. I don't even know what the policy is around like the actual policy. I know at my son's ABA clinic, they have a very specific policy and actually do not use physical or mechanical restraint at all. They have a completely different way of handling, you know, if things get sort of out of hand or aggressive. And so the reason why we changed the definition for restraint is because when my son was in school and other parents that I hear, they'll say they were just trying to, to hold him to stop, the movements that he was doing, like, throwing something or, holding his arm down or something like that. This language now, if somebody is restricting the movement of their arm, that is now classifying it as a physical restraint. So if somebody is physically applying force enough to restrict any body movement, arm, leg, whatever, that it would be now a restraint to try and capture some of what's actually occurring in school as being a restraint. And they probably don't even realize that that's what they're doing, and what it can cause. So that's why we shifted our definition to try and capture, what's actually occurring in schools.
Would it be possible to use more specific and detailed wording like you just told me? That way there's no mistaking it. Because you say like a great amount of force, like a small child, it doesn't take much to hurt them or bruise or anything like that is my
We
concern.
also put in there specific about, let me find it. Hold on one second.
Y'all, excuse me while Ashley is scrolling. I just wanted to remind y'all that the chat comments no comments in the chat will be read out loud. So if you want to speak, you must raise your hand and I will recognize you when appropriate. But at this time, no chat comments are being read out loud. Thank you and sorry, Ash.
No, it's fine. So, Vivian, to address that, in the bill, we changed some language. So it used to read that physical restraint in a manner that is directly proportionate to the circumstances and to a student's size, age, and severity of behavior. So, that sort of gave districts a little bit of a loophole. And so what we did is we shifted the language to say that a physical restraint in a manner that is disproportionate to the circumstances, to sort of make it read a little bit easier. So they know that they can't do something that is and provide a restraint that is disproportionate to the student's size, age, and severity. And all of that is specifically spelled out in the CIT training, and the requirements of that training that we have now added into the bill will cover what that language and like that definition means that I just talked about.
Okay, thank you, Ash. Tony, is your hand raised?
Yes,
Okay, you're recognized by
thanks.
the floor. No, you're not. You're recognized by me to have the floor.
Thanks, Jill. I utterly understand what you're saying, Mrs. Ashley, and the one that was also speaking to. I've had to help teachers when they go out of their classes. I was one exception of that, because teachers don't want any of that nature to fall in the bad or the sad parts of of our issues that we're talking about right now. So before I even started school, I was at Nish, but most of my classes started with a homeroom class.
Mm-hmm.
So I stayed there until my teacher or teachers would leave, and they would say, Tony, can you look after my class for me? They just knew it because they could know that I could deal with their students if they had to really be out of their class.
That's awesome.
So that was
You went to
just,
New Iberia High School?
I went to
Right.
Nish,
Nish.
and then I graduated since 94. So I've been out for that long. But since I was there, no matter what the issue was, can you look after my class? I
That's
mean, that
great.
was just as
Yeah.
a pivotal that they could trust me. Anyone
That's
could trust me.
awesome.
But we did have two students that I grew very close to, Danielle, Ladette, and Eric, and they're both blind. And I was pretty livid about Danielle because she's blind. Everywhere she went, she had a German Shepherd as her seeing eye dog in public places,
Mm-hmm.
especially schools. And I had to say something about that because whoever the principal was did not treat her correctly and said, "You're out of here. Don't come back with your animal or with your dog." And that's just total disrespect.
Yeah.
Having someone blind with an animal in a public school. Eric wasn't so much because he just had a walking cane with him. He had no problems.
Yeah.
But then he did. So, and during that time, we had a different deity council back then, and we talked about it quite a few times because that's another disregard and disrespect for people that are blind. But that just goes to show that you have to have total respect for that.
Yeah.
Yes, someone had your arm, had your hand up.
What?
Someone had her hand up. She had a question.
I will just add that at SEEP there were some really powerful testimonies from LACAN members that I think will come in and be very useful for when this bill is heard. And I see Sam is on here. I don't know if anyone else that testified at SEEP is on today, but there were really powerful testimonies that I think impacted all of the SEEP members and are going to be important, when this bill comes up to House Ed's. Representative Mack is the author of the bill, is carrying it on the House side. And then Senator Mizell is going to carry it on the Senate side for us.
So if you need Mrs. Ashley, you can connect with me for anything. I don't mind.
Awesome. Thank you, Tony.
Sure.
Okay, wait. Okay, y'all, I'll be 41 next week. How many hands is in the office?
Two.
Vivian first and then Eric raised his hand.
Okay, Vivian, you're recognized by the chair.
A child should never be pushed to the point to where they are in a position where they've melted down and checked out and they're either in danger of hurting themselves or damaging their surroundings. So with that in mind, restraint should not be necessary, and when it is used, it is incredibly problematic. That, and then you don't define what is disproportionate to the situation, which can get a little tricky because to everyone that's different. But also, I understand it in instances where you have to protect the person.
Mhm.
But how about we look at ways to avoid the person getting to that point instead of allowing them to be restrained and hurt? Because
Agreed.
it's still physical harm.
I completely agree with you. And I think the crisis intervention training, the requirements of what that entails, alternatives to uses of physical restraint, de-escalation techniques, crisis management, trauma-informed stuff, conflict prevention, crisis response techniques. There are a lot of things in it. Starts on page what page is this? It starts on page 11. It requires and breaks down what is explicit, like required of the training. And I think it will capture a lot of what you were talking about to try and reduce the student getting to the point where they feel like they have to be of imminent harm to themselves or to somebody else. My son was a victim of very violent restraints when he was in school. He had very aggressive behaviors when he was pushed beyond a certain point. So I completely and fully understand and agree where you are coming from, and we hope that this new training, which was never required before, will help reduce the practice of the use of physical restraint. It requires them to study alternatives to physical restraint in the training. So we really do hope that the training and them having to pull together a designated team in each school will also be a support to other school staff, paraprofessionals, special education teachers, regular education teachers, that, you know, they can step in when what the either the para or the teacher is trying to put into place in the classroom is not effective and the student continues to escalate. That will trigger this crisis response team to then step in, and they will then come in and hopefully practice these things that we've outlined in this required training to be able to calm the student down or get the student to a level where they, you know, are no longer of harm to themselves or to somebody else. So I'm not saying it's going to be perfect, but I will say that the states that have implemented this particular policy, their outcomes for students with disabilities and their use of restraint, is a lot less than what we have and what we know is actually occurring in schools.
Okay, y'all, we are like hella behind. And Mr. Eric is this on the seclusion topic because
Yes,
if
it is.
it is,
And I-
I'm like, and this is the last comment I can take because we have got to move on or we'll be here till May. So Mr. Eric, you may speak.
My concern is y'all talking about the cameras in class is what y'all have in place for if they not in classes that have the cameras. And my other question is it this special people that y'all got trained for this? I mean, they're around the school. That's all I have to say.
What was your first question about the cameras?
I just have the cameras in special ed classes and not around the school.
So
And
most schools have cameras in communal spaces, so hallways, cafeterias, stuff like that. A lot of schools already have those in place. I don't know the statistics on cameras in regular classrooms. I know some of them have them because of testing, but I don't know if they're turned on or used in any other times when state assessments aren't taking place. I don't know. But the feedback that we've gotten from parents is that when they're making requests to their principal for a special ed, camera, that they're having them have to submit like an incident that occurred to sort of validate the reason for the camera, or they're just not following policies around getting them installed within the amount of time that's required by law. The legislature is fed up. I will be honest with you, the department is fed up. And so just to sort of solve everybody's problems, we're just going to mandate that they are installed, and the funding's already been allocated, so it's not going to like cost them any additional dollars. They need to install them. And then what was the second part of your question, Eric?
and my other question is, the team, y'all just have one team to be trained for that, or you got all teachers that knows the situations and can step in?
So there are trainings that all school personnel do at the beginning of every year through professional development. This training that we're adding is it will require that any new school employee that comes in will go through this particular training. And then whoever else is designated by the school to be a part of the crisis intervention team, they will go through an 8-hour training every year on CIT and everything that we have outlined in the bill on page 11 of the bill.
Okay, Eric,
It's a question
thank,
about this. She's about
This question.
Jill, Miss Karen has a question.
okay, this is the really last question, and only because I've never met you and I want you to think I'm a nice person. But go on. You're
It's just,
recognized by the floor.
I just have a simple question. Just the camera is also mandated to install in the institutional care facility, or just for school system and
I'm not sure.
I'm just wondering. Yeah, institutional care facility.
Ashley, do you know if they're
This bill
mandated?
just addresses the cameras in special education classrooms. There are additional requirements. So like Pinecrest, for example, they have cameras in all the communal spaces with audio and visual. They do not go into particular like specific bedrooms. But they are there. I know nursing homes passed a bill a couple of years ago that allowed residents of specific nursing homes to put them up in certain spaces. I don't know the language around our like community homes. I know a lot of them have them for their own protection. In communal areas, they don't go into the individual's bedrooms, but they have them in like the living room, kitchen, dining room. Some of them have them in their outdoor areas, and stuff like that. But I don't know the legal requirement around it.
Okay, thank you. And this is a wonderful conversation. And Renata, I say this with love. but this is a wonderful, wonderful conversation to have at our education and employment committee on the 30th of April. April, so is everything cool? Well, yes, on the chair. So if we're all in agreement, we will move on to, okay, so technically we're still on the agenda, that item. I read these, I read, or rather Stephanie read the, council committee, the recommendations that each committee made at our January 6th. Oh my God, sorry. Didn't mean that at our January meeting. So, and just to explain to the new people that as we go on, we'll look at the activities one by one, and then we'll piece these in and tweak them as we go. We just wanted to make y'all aware of it. So now, and I think now we can kind of, I don't know, but now every planning committee, we have a status report of what the council staff recommends. So I was thinking, and this is just an idea, Ebony, I don't know, but I was thinking we could have kind of make our like plan as we read through this, or do you want me to stick to the agenda and that you just talk about this and then we can move on to the agenda items, because it's 10:54 and we are at 9:35 on the agenda. So does anyone have that, any recommendations to mosey this along?
That's a great question, Joe. And I think that was a great solution, like for trying to move ahead. So I'll just say, instead of going through and reviewing the planning status report, I do just want to point out that this is the planning status report. It does have staff recommendations on it. It has the information currently for each initiative. So kind of going with what you said, Jill, if we want, we can kind of do both things at the same time, like look at the planning status report and the contractual activities to decide what your funding is going to look like for those. And then if y'all wanted to add additional things, and then going back at the end and looking at the non-contractual, if there's anything that needs to be changed or taken out. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts or everybody's thoughts?
The chair, your thoughts?
My thoughts is I was looking up with what time lunch was, but that sounds amazing.
Okay.
No, that's what.
So I was saying, we can kind of do what you were saying, if it's what you would like, where we just kind of go through the planning status report and the contractual activities at the same time to decide like if anything needs to be changed within the contractual first, as in adding money, changing wording, that kind of thing. And then move on to the non-contractual and any additional recommendations, if you would like to do that.
That sounds great. All right. Oh, does anyone not want to do that? All right, good. Sorry, I came out wrong.
Okay, so I'm gonna share the draft of the action plan. So as we like edit anything, I can, change any wording or anything like that. So we're gonna start with the contractual. So we'll start with activity 1.1.1.
You have a second to email this document to me?
Right now?
Yeah, or no?
I can.
Whatever.
It's just the plan, but I can send it to you.
Okay, cool, cause
Jill, it's the same thing as the status report. It's
It is.
just in another.
Okay.
It's a different format.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
No, it's the same information. It just doesn't have that other side with the progress and the recommendations on it, but it's the same thing. It's just a different format.
Okay, whatever.
Okay, so the first contractual activity is partners in policy making. That's activity 1.1.1. Staff recommends continuing this activity and decreasing the funding to $115,000. The additional 30,000 was for an alumni event, which will be every 5 years. And I know, we spoke about that before. So that's just our recommendation, whatever y'all would like to do. 2, 3, 4. Okay, so.
Okay, this is where it gets tricky. Okay, so anyone has any partners or does anyone disagree with what is on your status report? Okay, do we have a quorum if I go get something to drink?
We will not.
Okay. All right then. Okay, so let's move on, Stephanie.
Okay, wait, I'm sorry. Let me,
Reducing.
are we reducing this amount?
Yeah.
Okay.
Jill, if you want to take a break and like just have everybody take a recess, we can take a 10-minute break. I think you'll be okay and then you can go get water.
Yeah.
Or a
Okay.
drink.
Do you want to go ahead and do that?
Sounds good.
That okay with staff?
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, if that's what you
Okay,
wanna do, we can do
'cause I
that.
know we're so behind. All right, we'll take a recess.
What do you have for how long?
Can we do like 5 minutes?
Yeah, 5 minutes is perfect, so we'll be back at 11:06.
Yes, ma'am.
Sounds good.
All right. I might not be back.
So leave it on.
Stephanie, it's 11:08.
You're at lunch.
All right, we're ready if you, well, hold on, no, we're not. I don't have a quorum.
Y'all, I'm sorry, I'm so bad at this.
1, 2.
What?
I'm just counting.
Jill, you're doing a great job.
Thank you, Abby.
Just waiting for one more person.
I'm not sure if Tony's in the room
A
or not.
new message. Oh. Thank you, Mr. Sam. $145 for Pip, y'all. No, shoot, that's wrong.
It'll be 115.
That's what I meant to say. Oh my God.
Oh, there's Tony.
All right, you have a quorum, Jill.
Okay, guys, it is 11:10 and we have a quorum, so everyone, so this meeting is now called back to order. I hope y'all had a good break, so we can get back to the task at hand. So Stephanie, if you would, please continue.
Sure. We'll go on unless there's any conversation about partners in policy making. I did just add what we talked about right before the break, which was doing the reduction to 115. And if y'all are ready, we can move on to 1.1.2, which is LACAN. And I can read our recommendation. We recommend continuing this activity. I keep writing the wrong date. At its current budget. This budget was increased from 215,000 to the current funding and FFY 24. So we recommend keeping it the same.
Okay, sorry, any questions? Or has everyone feel about keeping LACAN at 240? Okay, perfect. Alrighty. Any public comments? Okay, perfect. So, okay, so then the next committee.
So the next activity,
Thank you.
is 1.1.3, which is advocacy events. And the staff recommends, oh, wait, I'm reading the wrong one. Staff recommends continuing this activity at its current budget.
Hey. Okay. I know what I'm gonna do. Yay. So now to activity. So any questions about looking at activities? Okay, alright, so.
So the next one would be activity 1.1.5, which is the website in plain language. It's not listed on the budget because we recommend rewriting this activity. And then because we are going to have the work completed, there's no need for any funding. So we're recommending to remove the funding and then to rewrite the activity.
Okay. Y'all have any comments as a committee, I strongly encourage it because y'all awfully quiet.
And if you want, I can show you like what our recommendation is for like what it should say. And then we can tweak it, or if y'all don't want to rewrite it, like whatever y'all want. I'm just here to help.
Okay, let's look. Y'all wanna look at it? No.
No?
No.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So does everyone recommend? Oh, where's Eric?
He stepped out for a second.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, hold on, we don't have a quorum because I need either Tony or Eric.
Oh my God. Just stay on the.
You wanna put it in raised, that when you say kind of stand
Yes.
out. There's Tony.
You have a quorum, Jill.
Okay, perfect. So we like so y'all can continue.
So, this in black is what it currently says. And the part that, like this part right here, that I kind of just like highlighted with the gray, the website overhaul, plain language, and rebranding, that is being done at the end of this year. So what I did was I just kind of took the rest of it And this is just a recommendation from us about maybe how to write this activity. And then I crossed out the funding if y'all wanted to get rid of that funding, since that website overhaul and things will be done already.
Can you make it bigger?
Yes, I sure can.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Is that good?
Yeah. Like, do I need readers?
You may. Getting old. No, I'm kidding.
That is so mean. Whoever said that is just rude. Can we make it yours are readers, Tony? It's not the same.
All right, let me see.
Can you make it a little bigger?
How's that?
Okay.
Perfect. Gotta have humor.
Okay, so what do y'all think? Producing and purpose.
Very well written out. Thoughted. Very thoughtful of all the things that were implemented in this activity 115.
Okay. It's. Are you sure? This doesn't make sense. The red that's like activity. The red, whatever. Okay.
No, do we need to change the wording? I'm sorry. Is there something that needs to be changed?
No, okay, never mind. Think I got my hit. Yeah, we're fine.
Okay. So do we want to change the wording? This is a committee conversation. Do y'all want to change the wording? Do you like the wording? Do we need to add anything? Do we like what we had before? My only thing would be is, like I said, this part right here, we're not going to be doing because we're doing it this year. So this part that I highlighted in gray, we won't be doing because we're doing it right now. It's a one-time thing.
Okay, that's what I was confused. So this is kind of going back to what we had, where this would be like, for lack of a better term, like our media push out.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
So I just kind of cut out this middle stuff right here that list what the information is. But if there's something that you think needs to be like spelled out in there, we can change wording. But I just said provide information important to individuals. Or if we're good with it, we can move on. Whatever y'all want to do. Jill, Vivian has her hand raised.
Vivian, you are recognized.
Thank you. I think the wording's pretty good. I like that it's open-ended for this one because we're going to need a lot of different information this year. But yeah, I think it's worded beautifully for the situation we're in.
So
Okay,
are we okay with striking out the old one?
I am since the website will be completely updated. Oh, okay, Tony.
I'll say the same thing, and I thank you for that, Jill, that I agree with you.
Okay.
Alrighty, do y'all want to
Like-
move on to the next one? Or is there more conversation for this? I just want to make sure I'm not going too fast. I think it's pretty straightforward, right? Right.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Mizu, are you like any questions? So far, so good.
Beautiful.
I think we're doing good. Mhm.
Okay. Okay.
Right. So the next one is, activity 1.1.7, which is YLF. The staff recommends continuing this activity at its current budget. The budget was increased from 30,000 to its current level in 2020 and FFY 2024. In 2023, the first year, YLF accepted 13 delegates and lasted for 3 days. In 2024, they accepted 14 delegates, including one high support camper, and it took place over 3.5 days. That's just a little bit of background information for y'all. So they do receive other, and I have it kind of listed right above there, but they do receive other funding. They receive funding from the Department of Education. They receive a transportation and meals grant. And then they also receive an additional grant, I believe the second one they're getting again, but I'm not sure. I know that the first one was a 5-year grant, so it's recurring, reoccurring for 5 years. One they may not get, I'm not sure, but it was for housing and meals. But they do get funding from the Department of Education, and they may receive funding from Louisiana Rehabilitation Services, depending on the delegates that are accepted.
Okay. And I'm pretty sure that they're on year 3 of a 5-year grant, or will be year 3.
Yes, I think you're right. So we just recommended that it stays at its current funding. That's all I have though. And then Tony has his hand raised.
Okay, Tony.
Yeah, thanks, Jill. Is this like, I just a few questions, but is this like the right type of the that used to be the approximate original cost, but it's gonna say it will hopefully stay the same for this
So
financial support?
that's a good question. So
And technical?
the first year they received $30,000. And then they got an increase right after that. So they increased their budget, or their budget was increased in FFY 2025 to $45,000. And we're recommending that it stay at the $45,000.
And is that pretty much like was it just recent that it changed? Or had it ever had its
It's,
purposes for that?
so it changed in 2024, and the reason that that the council decided to increase the funding was to allow for more delegates to go and to extend the weekends to make it a longer camp time.
Okay. I was just wondering how it got to be that or whatever types of questions that needed. So I was just curious.
Okay. So is it gonna stay at the same, the logistics of the program, is it gonna stay the same? 14 delegates, including a high support camper over 3.5 days. Is that changing?
I think, well, we haven't got the logistics for this year's YLF yet, Jill. I know that the place is gonna change. They had to change
Yeah.
the place to LSU Eunice.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that I think it depends on who applies, how many applicants they receive. That's gonna depend on how many campers they accept. And then I do think that the 3.5 days is probably gonna stay the same, but we'll have more information for you guys on that probably at the council meeting. Yeah. And Vivian has her hand raised.
Okay, Vivian, you're recognized by the chair.
Do we want to table discussing this activity and the price right now, like that we're allotting to this? I texted Lillian and she has not responded yet, but I am trying to like check in, like in case she knows off the top of her head, though I don't think she does. But she might because it's Lillian.
I mean, you're not wrong about that part. I think, I mean, y'all, I'm talking too much. What do y'all think, committee?
Like for this part,
Yeah.
Jill? I mean,
Vivian has her hand raised.
Okay.
Okay, so Lillian just responded and she said the current amount is just right for them at the moment.
Perfect. Okay.
Also, keep in mind, whatever amounts you set now, you will have money to spend later for either new projects or if you decide you need to increase funding on any of these. So the decision you make right now to bump something up or to move it, reduce funding, doesn't necessarily mean that's how it's gonna be by the end of the meeting.
Right.
Yeah, we could always go back if we decide like, you know, if y'all decide we want to change something at the end, we'll go through, make sure everything's how you want it, make sure the budget's where it's at, and then make any edits. Okay?
Cause your motion is gonna be for
Mhm.
this whole plan that you've edited, rather each individual thing.
We have to make a motion, Brendan. God.
Motion to the full council, we all
yeah.
hash it all out again.
I motion.
Oh, not right now.
Hand is raised.
Not yet,
I'll second.
Eric.
Y'all not even done with page 3.
No.
I'll second Miss Jill, if you want.
No.
Okay, it's okay.
No.
There
No.
is no motion at the moment, guys.
Sorry. That.
All good.
Okay, let's move on. I'm sorry I talked too much. Okay, 1.1.8, Ashley. Stephanie.
Okay, so 1.1.8, so the staff recommends rewriting this activity. I'll read what we recommend, and then I can go into the approximate cost if you would like. But we recommend that it say provide financial support, technical, and I guess I could say and technical assistance. To educate and train individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities on abuse, neglect, and exploitation. So the big thing is to get rid of this and collaborate with the Office for Citizens with Developmental Disabilities. So it's getting rid of that section right there. Because currently we are partnering with Team Dynamics, who are working with OCDD, like their documents that they have, and things like how to file a complaint. So they're giving like the information on resources to identify and prevent abuse, skills to recognize, prevent, and respond to abuse and neglect. So they are taking like the reporting steps from OCDD, but we feel that they have created these documents that they don't really need to collaborate with them anymore.
And then, do you want to talk about the increase?
Yeah, and then I can talk about, I spoke to Team Dynamics, and they are very interested in continuing this work for the next year. They want to expand upon what they're doing currently and include some videos of people sharing their thoughts and ideas on like how to recognize abuse and neglect, what to do if it happens. And the videos would have a couple purposes. They can use it in a couple different places. They gave some information on how they would use it. They could use it on social media for marketing, the training. They can use it in the training as like little short video clips. And then they can use it kind of like as a wrap up kind of thing at the end of the training. And then I asked them what would that look like if they were to expand it and still do what they're doing now, just add the expansion, which is 9 statewide workshops. So that is 1 in every region, combining 1 and 10 together. So that their amount that they gave me is $78,000. They can expand and continue. They did want me to let the committee know that they don't, not that they don't need the increase, but they would continue at what they are doing currently. If at the 50,000, they just wouldn't be able to expand it a little bit more to do the videos and the extra marketing.
So Jill, I have a question. If I can-
Okay, you personally, cause I can't see y'all. Is it like you have a question or there's a question?
Oh, no, I have a question.
Okay, sorry. You're
So
nuts.
thank you. I know it's important to the council that you guys have ownership of the things that you guys are contracting with the contractors for. So and Stephanie, you may not have talked to Team Dynamics about this, but I'm just wondering if they're gonna allow the council to have ownership of those videos. Can we put them on our website, our YouTube page? If you didn't ask them that, that's okay. It's okay. We can just find out that information. I was just wondering, Jill.
I didn't ask those questions. Those are great questions. I will say that they have shared all of their they're doing two different contracts with us. And they have shared everything with us so far that they have created. They have shared flyers, worksheets that they've created. So I'm sure that we could talk to them about it, and we can have, access to those videos, and they could be shared on our YouTube, on our website, and LADDC News is on the Facebook. So I'm sure if we ask, they would be more than happy to, but that's a good point. I did not ask. I didn't even think about it.
So I have a question, Stephanie.
Sure, what you got?
Where? Okay, I don't even remember this on when we obviously put it on the 5-year plan. Like, can I find a description of what this training is?
So you can, it is on the planning status report. So if you look at that activity 2.1.3, wait, that's not it. I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong page.
Dynamics sent us a proposal like a few years ago. Is that still on the website? When did we get this?
So there was no proposal on this particular activity.
Oh, okay.
The way y'all had it written was working with OCDD. And there was this assumption that maybe the department had something in mind that we could assist with, but that's not really what happened. And I don't know where the breakdown was, but so we as staff had to pivot, and team dynamics did work for us in the past on
Right.
this same issue, just in a sort of different way. And so that's when we reached out to them, because you've already assigned this, you already approved this plan. And so we needed to make sure that we were able to get something done and not just have this money sitting around and an activity go
Okay.
motion, basically.
So the activity was to collaborate with OCDD, and the contractor is Team Dynamics. Yes?
Yes,
Yes.
yeah. We
Okay.
essentially took some information OCDD gave us and passed it on to Team Dynamics, so they can use that if they needed it as part of their training development. But yeah, they are the contractor, and we don't have a whole lot of collaboration with OCDD moving forward now that we've had those initial discussions.
And that's why we were recommending to remove that part
Yeah.
from the activity, because we kind of got everything that we need from them already.
What we can't change no, we can't change goals.
Correct.
Right, our objectives.
Or objectives, but the activities, yes, we can
Yeah.
change.
That's fair game.
Okay, cool.
And Karen has her hand raised, Jewel.
Karen, you're recognized by the chair.
Okay, thank you. I just saw the budget, the number, maybe we'll still use the old number. I saw it's 50,000.
Well, if you all decide to take the recommendation from Team Dynamics and increase the amount, they'll be able to expand what they're doing currently. And I think Stephanie just kind of said that they would do some short videos where they could share those at the trainings for the next action plan. And if you guys decide to do that and make that recommendation, yeah, we would change that amount to the 78,000. But right now, we're,
Still the 50.
yeah, it's just still the 50.
Oh, still the 50?
Mhm.
Because I saw other item, you already put the new, the recommended number. So I just leave it confused.
And the only reason that I did it that way is because for the partners in policymaking one, they said that the alumni event was only gonna be 5 years. And they gave us the amount. They told us how much it was gonna cost them. So because it was just once every 5 years, I just took it off automatically. But I'm sorry, I know that is confusing.
And another question about what kind of organization for team dynamics? Oh, I just don't have no idea about that, so just ask that. What the partner, so you're not partner with the OCDD directly, right? But right now you partner with the team dynamic.
Mhm.
So what that's the organization, that's contractor?
Yeah, there are
Is it
contractors.
third party and not belong to state or any?
No, so they're their own, they're an LLC. They're not nonprofit.
They have
now.
contracted with
With
the
us.
council prior to this year. And they did some abuse and neglect training, but it was more focused on like healthy relationships. And making sure that that type of abuse and neglect doesn't happen. So we've contracted with them before.
So they just looks like take a responsibility for collect the information, but not because I know OCDD will have the power to do some change or to correct that or identify the abuse or any kind of issue.
So their
Well, that
training
would-
is gonna be, their training is focused on how can like the individuals, family members and caretakers recognize if a person is being abused, an individual with IDD or if they recognize that they're being abused. And then it gives them the steps on like reporting them to OCDD. So that's one of the things. So the steps for reporting, advocating for yourself, what are the signs of abuse to recognize? And so their training focuses on kind of all the aspects of it, like what are the steps to do when you do recognize, what should you do, who should you talk to, what needs to be done. And then once they make that report, you're right, that is OCDD that's gonna come in and
Well,
determine.
health
or
standards.
It's so,
health standards.
yeah, so
That's
Sorry.
part of the issue with the way this is worded as well,
Right.
because OCDD is not the ones that are investigating these things. They're not, they really haven't set a lot of these policies at these facilities or within the HCBS program. A lot of that has to do with health standards. And so that's what Team Dynamics is doing. We're trying to, people that are utilizing these services, what do you do when you've been abused or you see abuse happening? Because I think that might not be as clear to people of what you're supposed to do within the mechanisms that are in place to address abuse and neglect. Because the policies are there, what should happen is there. But does it ever get reported? Does it ever get to that point? So that was the focus, right? Of
Like the third party to.
Yeah.
Network.
Yeah, and they'll do the training for us. And Team Dynamics, they have they do a lot of government nonprofit type planning sort of things, but they also have this training component. And a lot of our trainings are done by Sharon Del Visco. She was also a LACAN leader at one point in time, so we're very familiar with her. We have a long relationship with her and Team Dynamics at this point, because our previous abuse training went on for 4 or 5 years, I think, because I had that initial contract and it went on for a long time.
Okay. A lot of, we do a lot of third-party contracting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, the council itself doesn't really provide any sort of services or contract type work.
Stop it, Brendan.
Yes, Jill.
I have on the like kind of a side question for you, Miss Jill and Mr. Brenton.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Jill. Do y'all know that there's a Sam that he's been doing texting for a few times on the right-hand side. Do y'all actually see that?
Yes, sir.
His name is Sam. I have a feeling he was still texting, but I'm not sure if he knows that he can't do that. I was just making sure.
Okay, thanks, Tony.
And he doesn't have a picture of himself. Just wondering.
Thank you, Tony. If anybody wants to speak, they're more than welcome to raise their hand, and Jill, once they're recognized by the chair, they will be allowed to speak and give their public comment.
I was just talking about this person, Sam, to
He has
everybody
his
because
hand raised.
he doesn't have a picture of himself.
Jill, I think Sam has her hand raised, if you want to.
Oh, okay. I was just making sure.
Okay, Mr. Sam, I think I didn't recognize your emoji, and I think I ignored you last time. So I apologize, but you have the floor.
Hello, y'all. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I'm actually the mom that gave testimony last week for Asher Runyon, and so this is my first meeting. I do apologize for texting in the box. I'm very new to this, but I am a female. I'm a mom, and so nice to meet everyone. And I will keep my comments at bay. And I'm just watching now. So thank you so much. I release the floor.
Thank you. And I am sorry I kept saying Mr. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so we are still on the, okay, so Stephanie, Ebony, Brendan, y'all all simultaneously have the floor, so have at it.
So I went and I put the recommendation,
Yeah.
our recommendation for what it should say. So I went ahead and I typed that right there. If there's anything that you would like to add or change, let me know. I can change it. This is for y'all. And then I didn't know what your cost, if you wanted to keep it or if you wanted to increase it. And just a reminder, at the end, we can go back and adjust if we need to adjust also. So this isn't set in stone.
I guess it just depends on what the committee wants to do, whether or not you guys feel the value in those short videos that they're saying they can make for the next year, or if you guys want to just keep them at the current level funding, which is 50, and they just continue to just do the regular trainings that they're doing this year. It all depends on what the committee wants. So you guys can discuss or make a decision now. Vivian has her hand raised, Jill.
Vivian, you have the floor.
Thank you. So I guess it depends on however much money they really need to do everything. Because I'm all for the short videos, especially if it's like on TikTok or YouTube Shorts, because people will like find it that way, because lots of people scroll now, like endlessly. So I feel like that could be beneficial. Do we know the number that would require?
Yes, so they asked for 78,000.
Okay, cool.
And just a reminder, we have available
Mhm.
135,000. And then we can always change, like it's, like I said, it's not definite here. So if we, or if y'all feel like, okay, well, maybe we can only, give them, 65, or you see what I'm saying? They might be able to, I'm sure they can work with that because they said that they were fine, without the expansion for doing the videos if we couldn't increase. But I asked them like, what would your, what would your budget, what would you want it to be? And exactly, your ideal budget, what would you want it to be? What would that include? What would that change? So, yes. Is that for me or for Joe? Sorry, I'm saying
What
yes,
is
but
the ideal budget? I mean,
their ideal budget is $78,000. And right now they're getting 50. So that's 28,000 additional that they're requesting.
what's the time being put into this?
I mean, they have created the training completely. So at least for this year, they have created the training. They've scheduled all the training. There's 9 trainings across the state. We just sent out a LADDC news with all of the trainings and like the dates for them. They have, I want to say they can have 25 people per training, but it might be 35. I don't remember offhand. And this would include the materials, the salary for the people. I mean, it includes all of their management also. So we have to think like, even though that may seem like a lot, making these videos, there's gonna be somebody that has to actually record them, edit them, put it together, there's a lot to it. Yes. So, and like I said, if this isn't the amount that we want, or we think that they could spend on it, or they should spend on it, we can come up with a number right now, or we can say, okay, let's give them the full amount and then maybe adjust it later when we decide what else we're trying to fund or anything that needs to be changed.
70, what it is?
Mhm.
78,000.
Can't even get the numbers. I just feel like that's a bit much.
But this is the first year to do that.
This is the first year they're doing this one, correct?
Yeah, I think it's important, the video of what they would do, the training on. Yeah, I'm okay with that.
You're okay
Like
with the
we
second?
try the ideal and then see what the consequence, what the outcome.
What the outcome is.
Mhm.
Another idea is just I mean, if we're saying that, increasing the 28 just isn't what you're looking to do, you can always say like, okay, well, maybe we do half of that. Half is 14. So we could say increase by 15,000 to see, maybe they can't make as many videos, but maybe they can get a couple of them to get started. We see how it goes. And then if we wanted to expand in the next year.
This is their first time doing it?
This is the first year that this has been on the plan. So it's their first time doing this training, but not
But we,
training.
yeah, we've contracted with them and they do their own trainings. Our contracted work is covering the costs that they normally charge people to attend their trainings. But one of the things just to keep in mind, so Stephanie mentioned there's 9 trainings. 25 to 35 sounds about right, because that's what the previous one was. This is a very sensitive topic, so you don't want massive amounts of people in a room. You want it to be very engaging and very open conversations. So I find videos might be able to supplement some of the material for people that can't actually attend these trainings. Maybe you don't register in time, maybe it's not close enough, something happens. And they specifically talked about focusing their videos on recognizing signs and what to actually do when it happens. And I feel like those videos are probably important to keep where we can continue to push that information out even whenever we're no longer training people. We would still have access to videos of that nature that we can share. And this particular topic, I mean, it comes up at every planning meeting. It comes up every year. It always comes up at community input meetings. Just keep that in mind as you make your decision of what you think you should do.
But you're saying, I don't mean to jump in and not trying to be rude, but at the same time that they did other work, have they did any work like this, or this is their first time?
Yes.
And they've done a similar training for the council.
We contracted with them for like 4 years to do
Yeah.
a training similar to this. But Jill, Eric, I want to make sure that your question is answered. They've done trainings like this before.
They done it, and we've been with them for 4 years.
Not, that was previously, like that was about 4 years ago, Brenton.
But I'm
Well, yeah, I mean, I've been here for 6 years. We were doing that training when I started. So I've been here for 6.5 years. So that was about 6 years ago. So this training is just a little bit different because the previous training, they were focusing on healthy relationships.
That's what I'm getting at. This is a new training. At my part, I'm getting at, is this a new training that they do?
Yes, this one is specifically focusing on abuse and neglect, how to recognize signs of abuse and neglect, and who to actually report that to. Because a lot of people think they're supposed to report it to OCDD, the Office for Citizens with Developmental Disabilities, but that's not the case. They're supposed to report abuse and neglect to health standards. So this is making sure that individuals who are receiving services, waiver services, any home and community-based services, that they know if they recognize signs of abuse and neglect, they know who to report it to.
And there are experts on their staff as well as those that they contract out with to help develop these trainings. So it's not just a random contractor we've asked to come up with some materials.
This is my question, ditto on what this Brandon said. How much footwork are they doing? Is they
All of
actually
it.
out?
Yeah, they're doing all the footwork. Like Stephanie said, they've created all the materials. They have scheduled all the trainings in each region. Is this the one where they did the survey? No, that was the transition training. Never mind.
No, they did a survey.
They did a survey. They did a survey to investigate what individuals in the community wanted to see from this training. So they've done all of the groundwork.
Maybe alike, they might cover
Yes.
different topics depending where they are based on the survey.
Based on their results, yeah.
So basically what y'all saying is y'all put the private videos out, I'm just saying, that's basically putting it where somebody can see it privately, themselves and feel comfortable seeing that. That's how y'all.
Yeah, I think kind of what Brenton was saying is like, because these are shorter, smaller meetings, like they're about 25 to 35 people. Or if, say, I can't go, but I see this video and I say, oh, I'm recognizing that somebody's being abused, then now I have the short little video that I can say, okay, I know what to do.
You actually see what it is, but once you see a video, you can notice.
Correct.
Okay, Jill, you have 2 more hands raised. Vivian had her hand raised. And Vivian, do you still have a question?
No.
Oh, you got your question answered.
Yeah.
Never mind. I think her question might have been answered. And then you have Tony, and I think Christy Curtis had her hand raised.
I have a question.
Okay.
I don't know how this, Tony, can I ask my question?
Yes.
Okay.
In our activity of 118, I know it says provide financial support and technical assistance to educate and train individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities on abuse, neglect, and exploitation. But I'm very sure, would that also involve employment as well?
When you say employment, do you mean like caretakers?
Yes, and much more than that, because I'm very sure I'm not the only one in this picture where people from, even though I live on my own, there's someone that cares for my needs and the shopping and all that. And I'm very sure y'all know that I'm not the only one in this position. And by reading that, that could really add a little bonus to that with the red writing of living by yourself and caregivers and whatnot. So I just really thought that that was right in that same area.
Okay, so is this kind of what you're looking for to include not just individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities, but also caregivers and families?
Yes, yes, because
And then-
it's so much needed now.
Okay,
And we're probably not the only parish that has this problem. So I
And
can,
then
I
Jill,
can remember going back when I first started, before I got chosen to be on this beautiful board. Many others like your group I was on, and I just feel like that's a huge impact for us to add that.
Jill Vivian has her hand raised.
Okay, Vivian, and then after Vivian, I have a comment, and then I would like to hear from Christy Curtis. So Vivian.
Thank you. So would the individual with the disability necessarily always feel comfortable with the caregiver present if they're doing this, like training and watching these videos? Because this might put them in an awkward position or even like a not so good position. So that's my only concern with the wording.
I will say what Team Dynamics did the last time we did this training was it was a separate training. So individuals with IDD were in their own room, had their own training. Parents, caregivers had their own training. There might have been a brief, I'm trying to remember, there might have been like a brief introduction sort of together, and then there was sort of this breakout, so they weren't.
Cool.
So I would imagine they would do that again, or we could request and put it in the contract that they
Yeah,
would.
because
have
if
a separate
someone like
training.
recognized the signs of abuse within their caregiver, because there's gonna be a lot of different situations and it's a possibility. But if they realized it right in front of them, it might be apparent and that wouldn't be the best situation.
Valid point.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Christy, can you please come on, unmute and, I noticed your hand raised. And so can you come, say this?
Thanks, Jill. Sorry, sometimes I feel like I have too much input in these meetings, but I would just wanted you guys to remember that not all individuals learn the same. Most of you have probably met Bryson at some point or another over the last few years. He will not pay attention to information at an in-person meeting. His attention span just isn't there to pay attention like that. But if there's an engaging video or some other type of material that's available, he will listen and get the information that we're trying to get across. So I'm just asking you guys to be aware that not everybody learns the same. And we can maybe get a little creative with the way that we produce these materials to share with individuals themselves. Because I think this is great information that he really does need for his future. So that's all. Thanks.
Thank you. And I wanted to ask the staff, like we were talking about increasing the funding, and I looked on my attendance, my agenda from January's committee meeting, but I base funding on feedback from, or like numbers from how like certain initiatives are going. So like, is this initiative, like how successful is this initiative?
Okay, good question. Give me one moment. I'm pulling it up right now.
So while Stephanie's pulling it up, I want to make sure we understand the question right, Jill. You're asking us how successful, like how many people have attended the training so far?
Correct.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I understood.
So I think that they haven't had their first one yet. But let me check.
Yeah, I was gonna say this training or this initiative actually started much later than
Yes.
than most of the others.
Oh, cause we're halfway through the year.
Right, so remember the activity was to collaborate with the Office for Citizens with Developmental Disabilities. We were initially trying to collaborate with them. However, they were the ones that informed us that they're not the individuals to contact if there is abuse and neglect. So we had to pivot and find a contractor that could do this type of training for us and still collaborate with the Office for Citizens with Developmental Disabilities. Now, they provided the information they had to Team Dynamics, but since we had to pivot, there was a delay in Team Dynamics getting started with this project, which is why they're just doing their first training. I don't think they have done it yet.
No, and I can tell you when the first one is, they did send out so they sent out a survey, we sent it out also, they posted it, they sent it through their mailing list, which is, they said they have it at 4,300 people. They also put it on all of their social media. So Team Dynamics, the Pelican Center, and People First of the North Shore posted it on their social media, as well as we sent it through our listserv and put it on our social media. I'm trying to see if they have how many people filled it out. They also sent out 150 paper surveys to 15 providers across the state to get input. So they received 160 participants in the survey. So that's just what I have on, like, I'm just looking at their survey results right now. But I can tell you when their first training is. It has not happened yet. And like we said, it's just been since we had to pivot, they started later than our other contracts, but they have one coming up. I want to say it's in April, but I don't want to give you the wrong day. So let me look real quick. So their first training is going to be May 1st. So it's in 1 month. And the first one will be in Shreveport. Well, they're doing two of them, one in Shreveport and then one in Monroe. So they're gonna both be on May 1st.
Okay, cool. Alright, I was just wondering because a lot of times, like, for me, the decisions are made based on feedback.
I understand. They had a good bit of people respond, so I just want to let you know that of the 64 parishes, they had people from 29 parishes respond. And so they did send all those survey results to me. There are a lot of good comments and things. So I can talk more about that if you're interested at the council meeting, just going through and giving information on their results and because it's a lot of information. I mean, it's a 16-page report they sent me. So, but I do think that because so many people responded to this survey, it shows that there is a great need.
How did I turn my TV on?
New life transforms. A leap of faith is taken in the name of love.
Wait, that looks good. Sorry, guys. Okay. So.
And Jill, you have two people with their hand raised. Tony has his hand up and so does Renata.
All right. Tony, you have the floor.
Thank you again. I definitely undoubtedly know what Ms. Christie was talking about in her chat. I also know whoever that was talking recently. If there's ever a possibility, try not to forget Iberia Parish, because we try to get enough of trainings, but we don't really have enough. I could not stress enough to have more live chats like this or videos or whatever. It could be half and half.
Oh.
However that works out for our Iberia Parish here. But I totally see where she's coming from, because I've shared this before recently on here, and I've done so many things like this through high school and public talks that I've done in our parish here. And I'm hoping that we can really change that where I live here. And if that's ever a big change, we would love to have that in our parish here. Because I know we just had Mrs. Nicole, Ms. Curtis and I with Beauvoyer with a separate meeting, but that was more of something else. But generally, we want to have more inspired and more devoted time to have videos of some sort of ways that we can implement this and make a positive change, so that we can share all these informations and the resources that we have in Iberia Parish. I just feel so, it's not only myself, but Miss Christie realizes it. We all do in our parish. It's just, we need much more than we want, and to really look forward to make this real change in our parish. It seems like we just cannot get enough of this. So we're really in a dire need for this. And I'm hoping not just Mr. Bowe by himself as our representative in our parish, but we really need to push more on this so that we can really implement on other things like this, not just
Oh my God.
schools and other issues that we have. I just cannot stress enough for this, because the more we have, the more we can use, and it's at our hands that we can really use, make something really permanent to where we can work on it and we can finally do something about it. Finally. I just can't stress enough.
Jill, you have another hand raised. Miss Renata Washington.
You're on mute, Jill.
Alicia's on mute.
I forgot,
Oops.
had my video on. Renata, you're recognized.
Thank you, Jill. Hi, everyone. I'm sorry I wasn't able to engage. I had a lot of things going on at school. However, I was able to get a little bit of this conversation, and I did want to state that I understand what Ms. Christie was stating in regards. However, I did read that Team Dynamics said that this training was going to be interactive. They were going to be doing hands-on activities and discussions, real world strategies or something like that. So with this topic being so, sensitive, and it is greatly needed, I do think that as the council, we've given a lot of things, a try in times past. And since this is something that the people, really want, let's give it a try. If we are able to even go and see one of the trainings before time, maybe that can, we can kind of see what do we want to give them the full. I think it was 78,000. I'm not looking at my things, but I think it was 78,000. Or either we can just pivot it a little bit, see the response of the people, especially those with disabilities, how they're responding. Are their teachers effective, and is this something that our children with disabilities they can retain with their, we can just kind of just see and maybe make a determination. But I feel that, since it's something that we hear a lot at our meetings, to give it a try. That's just my thoughts.
Thank you.
So Jill, I just have a couple of questions. My first question is, and I guess it's for the whole committee. Is there any change in the wording for this one? So I'm looking at the wording in red. Did we want to, I know I added in the caregivers and families right there. So if we wanted to change anything here, and then I didn't know if y'all settled on an amount or, so those are just my two questions. So I'll let you share.
Okay. All right. So from my understanding, and I've lost all control so far, because so far the only thing we've done. Rolanda, do you have another question?
Lower her hand. No, I think we just didn't lower it before, Joe. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
No problem. I think so far the only thing we've been doing, and I'm kind of losing sight of the like task at hand, is subtracting the subtracting the money that we have. So the question for the third time is that there is a recommendation to add $28,000 to this activity, and that would bring the total to $78,000.
So, and I'll share, that's correct, and I'll share with you the budget, just so you can see what that looks like if you were to do that. So if we were to, and that's right here. So far, we have kept everything at its current, oh, this is out of order, I'm sorry. But we've kept all of this at its current. This one's in the wrong spot. So this is if we do the increase, we'll have $107,000 still remaining for other activities. If there's another amount, so like right now it is 50. So if we keep it at the 50, whoa.
What's 50? Oh.
50,000. So if it stays at its current funding of 50,000, you'll still have, like, we still have to spend the $135,000. So if we want to increase the abuse and neglect exploitation training, so they're recommended, we would have a little over 100,000 remaining. And if we wanted to just kind of do it right now as a placeholder and then go back and just kind of figure out how much money later we can, or, you know, however y'all want to do it. I just did want to point out that we're getting close to 12:30 right now. So once we finish.
After this question, I was gonna suggest we break for lunch.
Agreed. Getting hungry. So I'll stop sharing this. This was just for me to show you what it does to that full amount right here. If we were to change this here. And again, it could, you know, this isn't finalized yet. It's not finalized until at the end when you make your motion. So we can always go back and I could edit this if we, you know, if you decide like, let's only give them 70,000, you know, or whatever.
We don't have to give them the whole 28,000.
Correct. You can decide. That was just their ask. So I wanted to get y'all that information. But you know, again, you're taking everything that we say as a recommendation, and at the end of the day, it's what you want, you know?
Right. So what is and I'm so not used to being the chair of this committee. I talk a lot. What is the will of this committee on first aid to increase this And then B, by how much? Eric, you're too quiet. What do you think?
I'm too.
Like,
I think,
Whoa.
I look at the community list. I was like, all right, Mr. Taylor's with me. You haven't said one word.
but Julia, I think that we should do it. I really sat back and think about it. The videos would help. The videos can help people that can't see. They can stick a video in. I mean, how I'm saying it, I'm trying to word it.
Take your time.
Where some can't see, they can pop a video on and listen, if I'm saying it right to y'all. I think it would help tremendous with the videos. They can see stuff, they can see it, it's something they can hold on to and go back to if they need to. In the privacy, if they can't watch it then, they can go back and watch it. So I think we should give it a try. And the parent that spoke about her child that can't sit too long, the videos do help because they go to tablets, they hold phones, it's just something to keep them quiet and they looking at something that could help them. Yes, I think it would help. I think it would definitely help. I didn't look at it the way, but I had to sit here and think on it. And then it's a lot of work into that time. It's to keep it going. So yes, I think it would help.
Okay. Does anyone else have any thoughts on this? Okay, so are we all in favor to raise the cost? Okay, are we all in favor to raise it by 78,000? Or whatever.
278,000. Okay, to raise it 78,000.
Is it on the table? Is it on the table?
Yeah, I guess she's just asking the committee, are you guys in favor of raising it to 78,000?
Motion.
We're not motioning.
You could just say you agree or disagree.
It's just discussion.
I agree.
You agree, Karen? Okay, Vivian?
I
do too.
You agree? Okay, I think everybody's in, all the committees in agreement.
Because remember, when you get to the end, you can make changes if you need, if you get to the end.
Okay.
We'll get to it.
Okay, yeah, it's 12:30, Jill, if you want, to take a break.
Okay, y'all, what y'all eating?
Yeah. Maybe 45 minutes. What do you think, Jill?
Well, usually it's an hour, but we're running, like I say, hella behind. So
Yeah.
can we come back in 45 minutes? That'd be like
1 o'clock?
1:15.
Yes.
We can do that.
okay, cool.
1:15. Sounds good.
All right.
Okay, see y'all then.
You too.
What y'all eating?